Cool. All right.
Not.
I think we are now. There's just like a little bit of a delay.
Let me
Just watch the live stream first.
Oh, yep.
yeah, I'm gonna tweet it out real quick.
All right. Yeah, me too. Okay. Alright. All right. Hi, everyone. We had a little bit of a delay because I'm always late and always have an issue. But thank you all for joining us. Yeah. So I'm going to introduce everybody. We got Zachary and Alistair together. They're my husbands, but they are husbands. Adam Sass was co-hosted most of these WandaVision episodes with me. Discord Adams, one of our fantastic drag queens that comes on the podcast sometimes. Alex Abad Santos.
Hello.
And Gabe Gonzalez. Hi,
Hey.
hi everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. I have my empty cup and I need to pour some alcohol.
Alex beat us all with the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really should. I still need to download the Zoom update that lets me do that.
I would really love to be playing around with that.
Every time I try to use a background on anything, it just fucks everything up for me.
Yeah, same. If I have too much shit.
So clean, yeah.
If I didn't use this like background, you'd be like seeing my room in my parents' house.
Want to see it? The fans want to know.
No, I don't think so.
Oh well, not me. This is my apartment in Brooklyn. Ha 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 ha.
I was like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna like spend the winter in California, and it's gonna be like fine because I'll get the vaccine. And like the rollout here has been so slow, and I'm like, I just made my. I was like, I've been here since like January.
Oh my gosh.
And there's like a variant going around that's also Californian, and I'm just like, it's like when you pick the wrong line in the supermarket, and you're like, fuck. And you're just like watching everyone else go.
I got like a notification the other day. I have like an app from my old primary care doctor called like My Chart. My doctor quit his he closed his what is it, firm? Is that what he called? No. What the hell do you call
practice?
Practice, right?
You're going to
farm.
I have no idea where anything on that app goes anymore because I don't have a primary care doctor. But it like notified me that I could fill out a form to maybe get in line to get an appointment. So I filled it out. We'll see.
Honey, I haven't heard nothing about nothing. I'm like,
they're distributing vaccines through like a grocery store branch that donated to a Republican governor. It's wild. It's the Wild West out there.
Yeah.
God.
Go to Florida.
So we're here to talk the WandaVision finale. I kind of want to get everyone's, before we get into the episode, I kind of want to get your all like how you felt after you watched it. Gabe, go first. What did you think about the final episode?
I have taken a lot of time to think about it. I feel this way about the episode. I loved the story and how that resolved. I did not love the plot and how that resolved. And by that, I mean, I like that this was a finale that kind of brought this super narrative of Wanda dealing with grief and trauma full circle in a gratifying way. But it also introduced so many plot elements throughout the series that I feel like weren't resolved, or like introduced characters whose motivations weren't clear. And it felt really rushed at the end, to the point where I was like, it feels more like a connective tissue between like one era of Marvel movies to another, rather than kind of like a standalone series after that finale. So I have mixed feelings, but I love Elizabeth Olsen, even in that terribly teased hair. And I'm sure we'll have time to talk about that as well. So mixed feelings. I think it's one of my favorite characters. It's one of my favorite stories. I think they could have done a lot adapting House of M that I feel like they didn't do. I don't even know if we can properly call this an adaptation of that, but like, I don't know, mixed, but it was a fun ride.
All right, Discord, what'd you think?
Oh, I loved it. The only thing, my biggest gripe was like, I think it's stupid to throw Evan Peters in there and like not have him be that Quicksilver. It's like, what? This was just pointless. But other than that, I mean, I was sitting in bed eating Cracker Barrel that was delivered to my house and crying, and I had goosebumps. And then my partner Gidget was making fun of me the whole time. Like, you don't have to cry into your chicken. Like, it's okay. It's just WandaVision. But I really loved it, and I felt like it really tackled grief really well, and like doing that and like through a superhero lens is really cool. And I think it did it really, 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 really well. I was excited.
Alex, what'd you think? I was not a giant fan. I think no, I feel like the first half of the season was a lot stronger than the second half. I think one of my gripes especially in the finale episode was like the whole idea of her as like, I don't think that they could decide whether she was like a hero or not. And when they had Monica be like, "Oh my God, they don't know what you sacrifice." It's like, you just like mentally like tortured people, took them prisoner for your fake family, and then we're supposed to feel bad.
Right.
But I think that's an important part of like grief. Like when you're like going through like that trauma of like losing somebody, you have those moments of losing yourself and like doing things that like you wouldn't necessarily do to people you love, or like people you wouldn't necessarily do to our innocent. Like, because in that moment, like the only thing you care about is you. And we already know that like Scarlet Witch isn't necessarily always all good anyways. So I think it was a good way again of showing how grief affects people.
I think I would have liked it a little bit better if it was like a little less on making her a good person almost. And she was just like, "Oh yeah, that fucking sucked, but look what happened." Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, I think that, and it's just like Marvel itself, right? Like you can't have like, it's so distinctly like you have to have this hero who's going to be in this movie, and it's like they kind of want to remind you that she's a good person.
Right.
And it's like, we don't need that. I mean, everyone in the comics hates her, so.
Adam, what do you think? We haven't gotten discussed. Well, we did on the phone, but we haven't discussed it on the podcast yet.
It's true, yeah. I'm with Discord. I cried like an F slur. I was like embarrassingly crying so much. But I just think that's because I also I attribute it to WandaVision as a whole, which I feel like it's gonna take a few more viewings for me to view episode 9 a part of a piece of the whole, because like this show found me as it found like a lot of us at a really, really, really crazy time in our lives. And so I feel like this was just speaking to me in like in a very, very, very personal way, probably accidentally. Assuming.
No, it was written for you, Adam, for you and me.
No, but I would say like my things with this is like, I'm echoing like, yeah, I thought it was like a little, I didn't like that the Evan Peters casting was cute and not in any way meaningful. It could still be, but like it did seem to kind of wrap up with like, oh yeah, he's a schmo and he's nothing, don't worry about it. Like I really like, they didn't need to do a full like Patrick Stewart comes out and takes him back to his new dimension, but like they could have, I don't know, at least just not even touched it. We all just were assuming that if they had just not shown him again.
I know it's not his fault, but I blame Ryan Murphy.
Always do. Yeah.
It's always a safe bet to blame him.
Yeah.
Zach and Alistair, what'd you boys think?
So I loved it. I did really, really like it. It wasn't a perfect episode. Like I think that's okay to say. I mean, there was a lot of build up, and there were a lot of like little nuggets and things planted throughout the series, and characters introduced, like we just said, that didn't really come to fruition. A lot of these storylines didn't really wrap up, but overall, it was Wanda's story, right? So I feel like when we left her before WandaVision, she hadn't, she lost Pietro, she lost Vision, she lost her parents, she lost all these people without getting any goodbye at all. And she finally gets this the proper way to say goodbye, which we don't always get in life anyway. We don't get to say that goodbye. And so I think that moment alone just made the whole episode for me. I mean, yeah, there's problems with it, but I loved it overall.
Alistair?
I also loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. I love that it focused mostly on Wanda towards the end. My only criticism of the episode at all, like I was crying like 70% of the episode. My only criticism is I wish they would have like taken just 10 minutes to expand on the side characters a little bit, because we only had like one line from Darcy.
One line, that's it.
She ran into that guy and fucked up. Like they didn't even have like her.
She didn't even get out of the car.
No, well, like they didn't even have her saying that like debriefing is for wieners or whatever they said. They had like Monica say she said.
Yeah.
Like, I think we were talking about, I was like, this like screamed she had a heart out. Like,
Yeah. That's like my biggest. I'm like, did Kat Dennings?
Like, you have me for one shot. I'm like,
She's like, I said it was a week. Now we're on a month. No, I'm not filming more.
Entire work as like fewer episodes and longer episodes rather than more episodes and shorter episodes.
Yeah, I definitely. So I felt people who are mad at me on Twitter because they felt I was like very negative in the last episode. And I was so mad at that Jesus parody account that tweeted at you and me to say that I was too negative.
No, he didn't say you. He said, I know who he was talking about.
I think he's going to be watching tonight. I think he tweeted that he's going to be watching.
Oh,
He's talking about.
wait, so Alistair, so like if you had gotten more time, who would you want more time with besides Darcy?
Ooh, okay. I wanted a fight. I wanted Monica to use her powers a lot more than she did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really, really wanted that because we kind of led up to that. That was like the secondary. Like we were pairing the visions. We were pairing Agatha and Wanda, and then there was like they were just in like a man cave for Monica and Pietro or whatever. And
Yeah.
I was like, they should have had like something going on.
Well, like, because like episode 7, Monica, with like these big emotional moments in the payoff, and then episode 9, Monica, like they really just had her like take a bunch of bullets and then do this like this, I guess you would call it like this enabling speech to Wanda at the end. Like
it was a weird speech.
Wanda was kind of ready to be like, I thought she was gonna like turn herself in and be like, take me to superhero jail. I'm ready to go. Like, but she was like, before you say anything, you're forgiven. I speak for everybody in this town.
She was like, Wanda, you can clock out now.
Right. It was a little. It just didn't.
Thing.
I mean, yes, I would have done the same. Fucked up. And she fucked up.
But she just became the Scarlet Witch. You don't expect her to like not use her outfit.
But she.
Yeah, I think my biggest issues were like these side characters. I enjoyed Darcy, Monica, and Wu. I really enjoyed watching them. They became kind of almost my favorite. Like, of course, I love Wanda now, but I think for the show, they were like a nice reprieve from like the intensity of like the shit Wanda was going through. And for me, I like having both because clearly I like a sad story, but I like to have a little bit of like, I feel like that's kind of why I like Buffy so much, because it would do the like, here's an intense sad part, but like, here's these characters goofing off and like being dumb shits.
And Kat Dennings' sense of humor is like very right along the lines of like a Buffy sense of humor too. Like her little quick quips and everything, she fits right into that.
Well, I feel like I would have liked that energy because especially Kat Dennings' character like takes the piss out of the scene. Like, so like her whole thing was like studying the hex on like a metaphysics level and it turned out to be like a magic book and magic spells, and I would really love to have seen her response to like seeing a big witch fight in the air.
I think we could have done like 13 episodes.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like these side characters could have been incorporated into a solution so effectively. I would have loved to have seen Darcy do something besides drive into this dude who there's no chance the FBI arrested him on the spot. You know what I mean? He's not going to jail. He's going to be locked up in hearings for the next year and a half. Like that man is not going jail.
Yeah,
First of all.
like that was the thing. Like I was telling us, it was like it's like where is this fantasy narrative where the second you expose someone in power, they're just carted off and zip tied.
And it was just so. I think between that moment, Monica Rambeau like discovering her powers and then just ending up locked up in like Evan Peters' bungalow instead of like actually reacting to that development was like
Evan Peters' bungalow.
He walked through like a force field, like through the force of will, and like
that's life changing. Like we need time for that, and so I don't know if she to me felt like almost the way Jolene was treated in the Queen's Gambit. I know this is a terrible aside and not the universe we're talking about, but it's literally like a this Black woman who starts off at the beginning of the story like sharing in this trauma with what becomes our like redheaded main character, and then has her experience erased until she has to like pop back in to save aforementioned redhead one last time. It was like
She was strangely never mad at Wanda, like at any given point. She was like, yeah, girl, it's fine. You launched me. I don't care.
You threaten me every time you see me, but no big deal. It's cool.
Tell me, I'll land.
Yeah.
I've had to change my DNA 3 times to
But
get you
more.
to this point.
I do think that there's and what I feel like the writers kind of missed out on was a little bit like really giving Monica, I guess, more emotion or more just like agency in that, like, because she has that whole episode where she comes back and like you're supposed to kind of read in between the lines of like, oh wow, there's all this like immense grief, and then it all just kind of goes away. Like in the like it's like, oh, it's there, and that's why she's friends with Wanda or wants to be friends with Wanda, but it's not really explored in a meaningful way. Of
I will say, going back to what you said earlier, you know, when you are going through grief, you do like, you are reckless. You are, you know, it's like same way kind of like when you're depressed. Like sometimes you do selfish shit and you don't mean to, but like it just happens. So I thought we could have ended with Monica saying, I would have done the same thing with my mom. That line hit harder for me. Like that made me tear up because I was like, shit, this is the scene that we needed with them, where it's like, you lost so much. I wasn't even there to see my mom die, and it wasn't my fault. Like there was nothing I could do. Like comparing, being like, we're cool. Like I thought that was a better note to end on than these people don't know what you did for them, even though like,
why should those people care?
Yeah,
like, you imprisoned us. They shouldn't care what you had to sacrifice because they didn't need to be imprisoned in the first place.
Like Deborah Jo Rupp is like this little old lady being like, just kill me.
Well, I will say, if Wanda was running for office in Westview, she would probably win. She could just be like, I brought jobs, I fixed everything at home.
Oh yeah, she'd be like the queen in Once Upon a Time.
For sure, absolutely, yes. Oh my gosh.
Rolled up in here, there was undeveloped land. It was a circle. No one would do anything with it.
Who needs daycare when your kids are not moving? You know what I mean? Just cutting costs.
Oh, well, speaking of daycare, we should probably talk about our little Miss Red Herring, who was just nobody.
The disrespect to cast Emma Caulfield at her
They
dude.
gave her a little Easter egg. Like her real life name was like her real life Westview name was like a reference to one of the real witches they burnt in the real Salem witch burnings. And I thought,
Oh really?
Oh,
nice.
Like,
Nice.
Yeah, I thought that was cute.
So wait, Zach, Alistair, I want you guys to talk about, because I don't want it to be all like us like ragging on the episode. About like Monica and Wanda. What'd you think of like? Oh, I can't hear you, Zach.
Well, for Emma Caulfield, so she was tweeting like, where's Dottie? Where's Dottie? And I expected Dottie to have a huge part. Everybody expected it. It wasn't even me,
Right?
Or anybody who just loves Buffy. Like I was watching other people's stuff. Everybody thought Dottie was a big thing because there was like no like mention of Dottie, like with all those like missing posters or anything like that. And it just seemed like a waste of an actress. And then people connected, like we did a live yesterday, and they connected her to a different witch in the MCU that could have been her or whatever. So I feel like they were playing with the idea. They were definitely using WandaVision as a way to play with kind of like storylines, I felt like, for the MCU, and to see how fans are going to react to those storylines, whether negatively or positively.
So I think they knew what they were, because this is the MCU. They're pre-planning like pretty heavy, right? And so I think they cast Emma Caulfield just to cast. I think she went out on an audition and got it. I think that's what it came down to. But what they didn't realize is she comes with a ready-made fan base, and they didn't utilize that to the extent they could have. Like, if we would have gotten her in a slightly elevated role instead of like the second episode, and we all saw how much she was in the second episode, and it got everybody really excited. And then what, we see her like smelling some flowers at one point, and then coming in at the end, and she was just nothing. And I think that's where they kind of left her. And
That's so true, because anybody who's watching it and is like knows that's Emma Caulfield wants Emma Caulfield in more episodes.
Right. That, I mean,
And,
that
like,
is the thing I do.
We had to
think
watch her
she
get
was
cut in
just
half,
cast.
and Buffy
Right.
don't get to see her in any more episodes.
I think, yeah, I can't, I go back and forth whether I think it's like people just assumed she would come with something, because like, I don't know, the mom from that 70s show, it's like, okay, that makes sense that she's playing just like a woman in the town. But like Emma Caulfield, you're expecting her to play like something more, because like all her stuff is always genre. And
I just think that like this is the same cinematic universe that cast Judy Greer as like nasty wife number 63.
Oh,
So
if they would have used her in more episodes, it would have been perfect, because she was kind of a bitch. So like they could have used her as like maybe she's the villain when it's again Agatha all along. So if they could have just used her more as like that Mirage villain for a few more episodes than just what 2 or 3 episodes that she was in, I think that would have been a good way to use her too.
yeah, well, because Agnes herself was like saying like, "Oh, Dottie's important."
right.
Like, so if we're following the like, Agatha comes in, rolls up, and is like, "What's this magic?" And then like, I'm gonna play along, and like, and then she goes into this. She's doing this. She's like, why is she drawing her out to this like this ladies' party in this episode too, and really hyping up Dottie?
Well, and I think also the fact that Emma Caulfield is such a good actor, like she has the range. She was real. That scene in season 2 was like my favorite scene for a while. Like when they're talking and she's going back and forth and the radio's buzzing and it's Jimmy Woo. Like that scene was such a, like, I think that scene is still one of the best scenes of the series. And like, I don't know. I mean, I did read that, like, I don't know if any of you saw, she did like a, oh my God, Discord, I just realized your drag is Vision drag.
Yeah, I'm grayscale vision.
You turned your head and I was like, wait a minute, oh my God.
They officially named it.
Literally, like when you messaged me on Twitter and like asked me to do this, within 10 minutes, like Gidget ran to like the kitchen, grabbed foil and tape, and was taping my head. He's like, "All right, we're getting you a Vision helmet."
Yeah,
I was like, okay, we'll do it.
I thought you were gonna say it was like something you ordered because it looks official.
It's literally just tape and foil.
It's so good.
We love creativity.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was saying, but yeah. So I guess we'll go into the episode itself. This was it the longest so far? I think it was, right?
It was longer than the last episode by like just a few minutes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like an hour and a half long. Oh my gosh, that'll be amazing.
Yeah.
I'll have to wake up earlier. Woke up earlier.
Oh my God. Alistair and Adam both would wake up at like 5 a.m. to watch the episode before work.
Because then I'd have to go to work. Yeah, because then like the whole work day, because when I'm at work, I'm bored, and then I hop on Twitter, and then at 3 a.m. LA time, people are like, "Good."
Here's the whole episode.
What's really funny is when you write a WandaVision article, you could see our analytics of it when it spikes. And it's like it spikes at lunchtime, it spikes at like 3 p.m. and then it spikes like one more time at like 6 p.m. And I'm like, oh, this is you when everyone's watching it, and probably off of Twitter because everyone's tweeting about it.
I will
The secret,
like getting up to watch like a really exciting show.
The second secret scene.
Oh,
I didn't know about it until today.
I knew because Adam
I
texted me.
There's 2 fucking scenes. I don't. There's this like 20 minutes of fucking credits. Like I'm not watching to the end of the second set of 20-minute credits to find this out.
I mean,
My friend was like, "Why is there 2 Wandas?" I said, "What do you mean 2 Wandas? Like when the fuck did that happen?" She's like, "In the second scene." I was like, "Well, I guess let me pull it up real quick."
It is kind of bullshit when you see like the time and you like can scrub and it's like, oh, it's like 48 minutes or whatever, and you're just like, oh wait, the credits are like 8 minutes long, and you're
because
like,
there's
oh.
like a set of credits in every language known to man.
Yeah, it was like full DVD stuff.
But
at
we
the
got
end.
runes at the end, basically.
But at least I do like the Disney Plus thing where they say like skip credits. There is that little moment where you can go.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
notice that.
Kirsten White
pops up. Yeah.
Kirsten White texted me last night and was like, Ian, is there a second mid-credit scene? Because my husband insisted there wasn't and turned it off. And I was like, no, there is. And she was like, all right, I'm going to turn it back on. Like, they had stopped watching.
It gave me like Dexter vibes, like at the end of Dexter where you like see him alone being a lumberjack. I'm like, oh.
What were you going to say, Gabe?
Scene. I loved it.
Oh, I said we needed to make time to see Wanda in a turtleneck. She has a moment. It's great.
So
Do you guys know? Okay, so did you guys realize? It took me a minute, but so Sam Raimi is now directing the Multiverse of Madness, which I'm excited about. And I think that the end credits kind of scene was almost like an homage to the Evil Dead, because you had her in a cabin in the woods reading the fucking Necronomicon, or the Darkhold, and I thought that was like a cute little potential nod to that.
Wait, Discord, did you say that to me, or did one of you say that? Someone said that to me like earlier, and I can't remember who, but someone said I think someone said they thought, because lots of times the director of the next thing will direct those like post-credit scenes, and someone was like, I really think Sam Raimi directed that, and it was like a reference to Evil Dead.
It had to have been.
I definitely see that.
I think we all told you it, and then you all told us. I feel like we're all cycling up here. I feel like we're all
dorks who
in
love
it
the Evil
here.
Dead, and
I just thought
Because even I was telling you, I was like, Ian, I was right. I said it. I've been saying it for weeks.
I was like,
Doctor Strange 2 is going to be her hunting for those kids in the multiverse, and you're like, I already knew that. I was like,
yeah,
you didn't
I
say
saw
that. I said it on
somebody
your
say that, like,
podcast.
Multiverse of Madness stands. The acronym is MOM, which leads you to believe that like her being a mom is going to be a big key point in that movie.
Mom, I love it. Love it.
Alistair, what were you gonna say?
I just thought, well, when I was watching it, I thought it was great visuals. I thought I guess they were probably somewhere near Secordia, maybe Moldova. Well, I say they, and I mean Wanda. But when we focused in on her, at first I was like thinking, oh, that's like a very like house to have. But then I was like, this is like a cottage core TikTok that I'm watching.
She's in a Taylor Swift era right now. She's in the
Oh, yeah,
folklore era.
I
Yeah.
thought it was Tony Stark's cabin house, because it looked like the funeral where they were all up there.
Oh, wait.
But like I was like, wait, is that the funeral? Obviously, I was like, that flying shot gives you lots of time to be like, what is it? Who is it? Where? Yeah. But I thought it was. But again, like it was pretty much like Discord said, like there's like kind of like a anti-hero epilogue house, and it's always like they go to a cabin somewhere and
Just
don't
a
go to their car.
Hicks, It's enslaved more people. It's just another Hicks. All of
Okay, so this came up on Twitter, and this is something I'm thinking about, like, because I know a lot of people are kind of really bugging about that, like, she's just like getting away scot-free, and the show kind of is letting her basically get away scot-free. And I really think that this is partially on purpose, partially on accident going to be cool, because I think that not closing that off, not holding her accountable for this, is going to do two cool things. First, it's going to set her up as like probably the antagonist in Doctor Strange 2, because he's there to like protect reality, and she's going to once again just go rampaging through people's lives to get her family back probably and be tearing it down. And then the second thing, which I think long term can really work, is that this is really, I think, setting up the shift in tone away from the Avengers are cool and I'm so excited to I fear mutants, I fear anyone superpowered, this is bothering me. Like I could see them bringing back Westview residents to like speak in support of the Mutant Registration Act. Like I could see them like bringing them in these cameos. We're gonna get Emma Caulfield again.
Oh yeah, Deborah Jo
little
Rupp's
bit.
coming back somewhere for a couple minutes and something.
Well, it goes back
she's
to
gonna agree.
At the end of Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man, wasn't he like being painted as this villain?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they had like Mysterio about to reveal him.
Yeah.
Villain. So
Well,
Wait, Gabe, what were you saying?
Wait. I don't know why, but anytime one of us, even if we interject for Zach and Alistair, it cuts off their audio. So I guess when they talk, just like don't interject. I don't know why it's doing that, but it is.
We are special.
I know it's our
Doing magic. I don't know. Anyways, but okay, so this is a little far off, and I understand that. But when Agatha came in to Wanda Westview or whatever, and then they started like zapping people to get them out of the Westview mindset, those people were like traumatized, right? I think it was Agatha. I'm sorry. I think it was Agatha. I think Wanda was providing everybody a nice mental vacation.
No.
Myself. We are all living a very nice sitcom.
No.
She even said in the last episode, that's not that kind of show. When somebody got injured, like that's not that kind of show. So like that's kind of how I felt Wanda's intentions were. Because I do think intentions are important. And Wanda did not have the intention to harm these people.
Well, I don't think she intended.
I think that I think that it was Wanda. I think it was a way to again show how you can unintentionally project your grief onto other people without meaning to. And the fact that they were getting her dreams, it was her projecting all of her grief onto these people. And whether it's your intention or not, sometimes it's just what happens. And I'm sure it was not her intention, but you do a lot of things unintentionally when you are in that deep state of, denial and bargaining and all of that.
I also do think it's important that she's not, I think, as clean cut a hero. Like, I don't mind that the repercussions aren't neat. I think we saw it with Lagos too. It was like Captain America was just kind of like, well, we had to do it. It felt very like we had to send drones because that's just how it works. And I think with this, I think we're gonna see repercussions come, but in a different way. And I think I feel like this next era of Marvel is kind of going to be not maybe the way Civil War was, but kind of like a deep questioning of like how much we should trust these individuals with massive amounts of power who like are also reacting in very human ways and do have grief and can sometimes unintentionally cause harm. Like, I sort of enjoy seeing Wanda maybe become a little more selfish and human, because I think humans are selfish. Like, that's what I think is so fascinating about this kind of new era of superhero film we're seeing, right? Seeing like a human being grapple with the consequences of dealing with something that feels almost overwhelming or is, right? Like, and I think that's why I've never found like the Captain Americas or the Tony Starks or the Hulks as fascinating as the Scarlet Witches, because they seem like these almost godlike people, right? It's like, all right, Bruce Banner gets angry, but he's going to deal with it because he's a doctor. Or like Tony Stark's really rich and he's like level-headed, but he's kind of a bad boy. And I think we've got some like messy heroes being incorporated in, and I like that. I'm all for it.
I'm with you. I love that we're all turned into Wanda stands, like barbs for Wanda. And we're just like, she didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Way more into the mystery than the robotic. I'm not an Ultron gal. Like, give me Doctor Strange, give me Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Wiccan. I need a Wiccan.
Well, a powerful woman who might be bad, might be good. Gay people like that.
No.
No.
Thor. Like,
But it's that tweet. It's that that like woman does some sociopathic shit, and we're like, yeah.
Rip that town apart.
That became me with Agatha by the end, though. I was like, ooh, I was like so worried that like, because Marvel loves to like, we completed the story, so the villain is dead. They love to kill their villains at the end of the story. So I was really worried. I didn't think Wanda would try to kill her, but there'd be like, like, ooh, well, Agatha's doing something where like Wanda has to like explode her with magic or some shit. I was really glad we ended on a beat of, nah, she's just a trapper in this town and she can go back to her if she needs help, because Agatha, I think, moving forward, that's the kind of shit I love. I mean, I think that's why a lot of us like X-Men, right? It's like, that's the messy shit I love, where this character like did do something bad. She messed up life for Wanda. But like, was she that bad? It's fine. Wanda can ask her for help and she'll be shitty about it. It'll be great.
She deserves
if she would
the
have
Loki
killed
narrative.
Catherine Hahn, then I wouldn't have forgiven her. There would have been
No, I wouldn't have either.
Like, she was the villain. Yeah, fuck Elizabeth Olsen. She killed Catherine Hahn.
Alistair?
It's also kind of a, at least fantasy show trope, where you have a villain who's everybody's friend and they do villainous things, and at the end you're like, but they were like super emotional at the time, aka like Dark Willow, for example. But you have a lot of other examples of like people in these fantasy shows with power you know, in a very traumatic moment, doing really horrible things, but we forgive them for it. So it's going to be very interesting because I think at this point it's hard to forgive Wanda for what she did, but at the same time, she didn't like kill people, so that's important. And one, I kind of like her as an anti-hero, and like she's learning as she goes. She's kind of like a fowl who doesn't know what she's doing, you know, and any mistake that she's making is kind of an innocent mistake. Like Lagos, she did not intentionally kill those people. Like that wasn't intentional. And I'm hoping that while she learns what she is and how to control herself and her power, we'll get a little bit more into that.
I
Do
mean,
we
what
know
I
how
want to
long
know.
it takes place? Like, how long were these people trapped?
Yeah,
Like, how long was Wanda there?
I want to know that, and I want to know what the rest of the Avengers are doing. Like, what is Doctor Strange doing? Like, he was all up Loki's butt when they like took a little dip into Earth, and he was like, "Hey guys, I'm fucking magic cop, and you're gonna have to report to me. I need like your passport, your social security number. Here's a beer. Call me." With Wanda, this is all happening, and it's like magic on like supposedly a giant scale, and he's just like, he's not that far off. He's on like Bleecker Street, right? Like
Well,
he's
so much so like that, like Agatha, like who doesn't know her, felt it.
Okay, I have a follow-up question on Agatha. Was anybody else also confused about her motivation in the finale? Because I feel like she kept oscillating wildly between like, you need to understand your power, and like, I'm taking your power. Like, you know, and I was like, well, what do you want? What do you want?
Zach Alistair would.
Wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, I think towards the end, I think the story did get a little muddled. I really would be curious as to what if like COVID affected the finale or like because it felt like everything else was very together. We got so many cool reveals and twists, and like you said, Discord, that reveal of Evan Peters was so fucking stupid. And that was kind of like the only real reveal we had. There were other good, I thought, moments, but like that was the only piece that they really connected, really. And it was like, oh, he's also Ralph. Oh, he's also just like some dude.
Yeah, that's stupid. Making him Ralph is stupid. Like, either make Ralph Mephisto or just don't have Ralph.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
Ralph does not need to
Right.
be Evan Peters, who we are supposed to think is Quicksilver from X-Men. Like that.
I do,
Either make
Too
him
many.
I do
And
appreciate
not
the
having a
trolling
wig
though.
underneath. Like, yeah.
Alex, what were you saying?
I appreciate being trolled like that. Like I
See, I
appreciate-
don't. I will say I hate a red herring. Don't give me a red herring.
I
Even
love-
in a horror movie, I hate a red
I
herring.
appreciate
literally
I appreciate
don't-
that Marvel was like, I'm gonna troll you guys. We're gonna throw the giant thing out there. We're gonna watch all of you guys spin your heads, go crazy. We're not releasing the episode until like 4 weeks from now, where we just explain that he's no one.
We deserved an answer about that bunny. And I think that Dottie would have something to say about it.
I think she would.
But no, like this bunny's eating cicadas and we're just not going to talk about it anymore. And the bunny's not Ralph.
Well, he's named after he's named after Agatha's son in the comic books.
Match.
Well, is it? So wait, I only know this from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina because there's the guy Nick Scratch, but that's like a alias of the devil, I think. and I
Yeah,
think
so it's like
that-
you're
Old
trying to make us
Scratch,
think
yeah.
this is Mephisto.
yeah, and that's why the
She's
bunny
supposed
was
to have a
named that.
cat,
Yeah,
but she
My
doesn't.
thing
have a
is like with this stuff is like this is one part of a thing. Like it all still could be. Like that's the thing. Like we're still like, even though they like listen, like years ago they like super bungled the Mandarin, and now they're gonna like bring it back and be like, "Woo, this is the correct way." Like they're just gonna listen to who was mad about which parts. And oh, the bunny was always scratched.
I actually really loved the Pietro thing, and I loved that it was kind of a fake out. I thought it felt like the MCU was playing a prank on all of the X-Men fans, and as somebody who's not a super X-Men fan, I found it funny. I know a lot of people didn't find it funny, But obviously Evan Peters is playing along, so I thought that was hilarious. But for Agatha, so Agatha, we learn in like the 7th episode that she comes because she felt this huge magical energy and she was trying to figure out what's going on, right? And then so she's like studying Wanda or whatever, and then she's like, okay, like let's figure out whether you're the Scarlet Witch. And then she goes through her test, figures out she's a Scarlet Witch, and she's like, this is super dangerous for this person who is super uneducated to be in charge of all of this power. So like I do feel like she kind of felt like a responsibility to teach like a witch, like a novice witch that was coming up, but at the same time she probably did feel a responsibility to take that power from her and also wanted to take that power from her. So I do think that Catherine Hahn played Agatha with such like a duality that I can see that being the case.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Alistair on this, because this is something that like this was like a familiar, if anybody who watched The Sopranos, this was sort of a familiar thing that Tony kept doing, which was like he really wanted to be this like friendly, helpful guy, but then this like darker side of him couldn't help like just manipulating people until they were like all used up. So like there was like consistently like he was trying to be like, oh yeah, you're my friend, but also I don't know, you're kind of a fuck up, and I'll just take your car. Like it's like it was like, and I feel like that. I mean, again, they probably like a lot of this could be accidental, but I kind of read it in that same way of like she really is like, ooh, I'm however many thousand years old, and you're 29, and you don't know what you've got, and maybe I should just take this away from you. That intergenerational jealous gaze. Yeah.
Me talking to Zach and Alistair.
You're just some little 29-year-old idiot. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the motivation was definitely like I was following it until the finale, where it seemed like that duality didn't quite resolve, right? It's like, I'm teaching you, but I'm also gonna fucking kill you. And I'm like, okay, but like we're getting to the end here, girl. So we gotta pick a route and stick with it. Like that was the thing. We're like, and it's one of those things where it's like, I appreciate the setup, because like I knew in my heart of hearts they were not wasting Agatha and Catherine Hahn. Like, there's no way they're wasting Catherine Hahn, right? Like, I knew she wasn't going to die, and she will hopefully maybe come back. And I know her presence led to a lot of speculation about other characters connecting, because she is kind of this weird, like, babysitter and connective tissue between superheroes. But I don't know. It was just like, I feel like she couldn't decide whether or not she wanted to like try to help Elizabeth Olsen control it or kill her by taking it away from her, which to me seemed like so vastly like different approaches that I was like, okay, like I just need a little clarity here. But I do love that the twist they presented in terms of her motivation, because I think it's like kind of saving the world. Maybe she's like, okay, like we can't have this universe collapse under her power. But then also being like, I want it for myself. Like I like that kind of muddled motivation. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I will say that like before we give Marvel the benefit of the doubt, they did kill Kate Blanchett, and they did kind of like sideline Rachel McAdams and Judy Greer. So and Natalie Portman.
Yes, but Natalie
her back though.
Hurrah!
But they're gonna do. That's the kind of retcon thing that they're trying to do.
Get Alistair started about Natalie
Portman. I always had this plan for Natalie Portman. Yeah.
We're fixing that.
She had to get talked back into it.
Fix it. Yeah.
She said she wouldn't do it again. Didn't she have a terrible time?
Yeah, she had the worst time.
Well,
like
there was
even,
something
in Endgame. She was just like, you can use this back shot of me.
I can't believe that was B-roll.
That was B-roll from Dark World, wasn't it? Where it's just her napping.
I forgot about that.
When we've been going through the MCU movies, and I swear, and I tweeted about this. This was something where, like, I think that scene, I think the Asgard part of Endgame is my favorite. Might be just my favorite sequence of all Marvel anything. Is because it's just so whack. Because it's like. It's a raccoon, and it's Rene Russo, and it's a B-roll from 17 movies ago of Natalie Portman sleeping, and they got to get the stone, and like Chris Hemsworth is in this like kind of like bro, ill-advised like suit, like and he's but they're doing he's doing like the Renee Russo is doing her best work.
They're committing. They're committing.
Committing. Hemsworth is doing his best work. Like everyone's doing their best work. Everyone just like lit up for this one ludicrous sequence. If you were just gonna like do a writing workshop of what this is.
And I hope that Natalie Portman still gets royalties for her 4-second B-roll appearance in Endgame, the biggest movie in the history of history.
I hope
Alistair,
more than Gwyneth Paltrow.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if Gwyneth Paltrow was just like, "Oh yeah, I've totally been in a movie with Natalie Portman, but not know who Tom Holland is." Right?
Natalie
Like, she'd
Portman
be like, "Who's that guy?" But
Yeah.
I was in the movie with Jackie. I was deaf in the movie with Jackie.
Natalie Portman wishes she had Gwyneth's amnesia about this.
No, but, so I followed somebody on TikTok who keeps on doing the Bechdel test for like more of like the phase 1, phase 2 movies for Marvel, and it's crazy how many times it fails with the women characters, and we're finally getting powerful women characters. I mean, Black Widow deserved a movie way before now. We still haven't seen the movie, but like she deserved a movie way before this, and now we get WandaVision, and I'm very much enjoying us, and obviously Natalie Portman, us like actually having these powerful women within the MCU. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm very, very excited about this next phase just with women.
Yeah.
I want Storm to
Thompson,
have an
yeah.
origin movie, and I've been saying this since like 1999. Like Storm has one of the fucking coolest like backstories, and if any X-Men gets an origin story, she's so powerful, and then you can have the whole Shadow King. Oh, it would be so cool.
My like dream is that we get like a Storm film directed by Dee Reese. I think it would be so good. I know that's like a weird director to pick, but I think she'd make it great.
I want the X-Men because the thing I like about the X-Men is even when they're solo titles or solo series, there's always like one or two X-Men that are also like hanging out, you know? And that's the kind of shit that I want in the like I really want when the MCU has the X-Men to do that, where if it is Storm's movie, like maybe we get, this and this character that are like can help or like are there like
You'd probably get somebody from Wakanda, because I think Black Panther is like pretty tied in with like the Shadow King and everything, so they could use somebody from that franchise to tie in with her.
And that's like because for me I would want like a movie of the team and then like WandaVision type series for each character where like other characters can like come in and out for an episode or two. Because like that's always been the thing I loved about when I was a kid and would read X-Men. I feel like, oh, Wolverine's miniseries, like Storm and Rogue are both still there, and like shit like that. And the Avengers do that too, but with the X-Men it's always different because they're more of like chosen family and all that shit. So like, and they all live together. I don't know. That's what I would want for the X-Men movies. But let's talk about the kids. I feel like we should talk about our queer children.
Yay.
Zach and Alistair
Just arrived in the mail.
Oh, I can't believe you got it already.
I got him. Yes.
So cute.
Got the other little guy here.
Funkos they have for the show. The kid who plays Billy.
I want to get the
I thought
Agatha
that was
one.
it was a cool one.
Yeah. The little actor got it. Yeah, no, it was. They were doing like exclusives and with the kids, and it was, maybe 2 minutes it was available, and then it's like completely gone. So.
And I love the kids.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That Tommy did so well in the beginning, and I think Billy kind of like took over a lot of the narrative towards the end, and I really like that he has his like Phoebe Halliwell moment where he's like, oh, I have visions of whatever's happening or whatever. So I think we're gonna explain that. They're gonna explain that more because I know in their Halloween episode he also had like visions of what was happening. Do you get it, visions? And then with his blue magic, and I feel like that's somehow significant because he has like blue magic, Agatha has purple, Scarlet Witch has red, and then like all the other Sorcerer Supreme people have yellow. So I'm not sure if they're trying to do like an Infinity Stone magic thing. I'm digging it. The visuals are really cool. So
yeah. I really like someone who's like fully not expecting them to even bother with these twins at all, like leading in, like if you had polled me before the show aired, I would have been like, they'll just not do it, they'll just whatever. Like that was another thing that I found to be like very just important on its own, even though like they're gone now, like in that way. But like I think that was something that was like significant, showing that like they weren't just like doing a little cameo of them, they were very important characters who had very clear personalities and relationships. But it kind of, at the end of the show, I when I saw it the second time, I thought like, oh god, when they age up that guy, when they age up Billy, like he's gonna be, they could have some really fun with like he could have a bone to pick with Wanda, because he had like 3 kind of moments where he really needed her help. Like he's like, oh, I have voices in my head and I don't know what to do, I have like feelings, and she was like too depressed to deal with it. And then the next time she was like, get out of here, go with Agatha, and then he's kidnapped. And then the next moment was her not explaining that they're about to vanish painfully.
Let's go to bed.
Like, he was like, you need to start explaining things to me about what's going on.
He's seeing it. He's seeing it in his mind. That hex is coming in. So
Oh God.
That's the thing. He's like anticipating it, so he must have seen. And they already had like, oh, what's happening? And like the pixels are flying off, and she's not being like, she's not going into any of that. Like she just is still tucking them into. That's why I think she's gonna keep repeating these cycles in Strange 2. Is that like she was really not into explaining what was like. Vision knew what was going on.
Yeah,
because he had been like very thoroughly explained to, and they got like a real final moment together. But I was like, those kids got to like fully disappear in bed, not knowing what was going on.
It's like of mice and men. Like, just look at the flowers.
Oh no.
Fine.
In 10 years, Billy's gonna be like, Mom, I come into my room, and then it's gonna be a live stream of him confronting his mother, like, you made me take on the military.
he's got
That is a very like mom gay son dynamic, though, to just be like, hey, 20 years later, you should have explained a lot of this to me.
Yeah.
Zach, what were you gonna say?
American Horror Story.
Zach, what were you gonna say?
Was I saying something? No, I was
You
just
started to say so. Oh. I
We
feel like
haven't,
you guys cut
haven't
out
talked about White Vision yet.
Discord. Would you like to bring into the discussion White Vision, since you're dressed appropriately?
Well, I think it's cool. You know, they clearly didn't show him dismantling or killing himself on purpose, which leads me to believe he's going to be the way that him and Wanda say hello again, because he's the real Vision, kind of, and he's got all the memories now. So I feel like he's going to play an important role in them meeting again.
Yeah, and I for a moment I was like, ooh, is this fight gonna be too much? When it's like, because they're like 2 supermen just like pushing each other through shit. But I really like that, like, he's pushing him into the floor, and then suddenly they're just like, well, logically, let's talk about this.
Yeah,
And
let's
they're
think
just
about this for a moment.
I love that for them, especially in the library. Like it just made so much sense to me. And I think White Vision has style. I think he has style. And his eyes were amazing. So like I know that he got like, after the touch, he got like human eyes, but like before that, like switch back, like your eyes were cooler before. I don't know.
So what was in like his head? Like, so it wasn't the Mind Stone. What was that?
Yeah. What was that? That's the other thing. What's the
Isn't it-
question about
Was
it?
that an arc reactor? Was that like was that a little like Tony Stark?
That's what
head?
it looked like. Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems to me that like Sword's whole bag is like, and then especially with Spider-Man Far From Home, like it's gonna be like the Phase 4 narrative is like Tony Stark's dead. Let's use all of his stuff for evil immediately. Like so, that seems to be kind of the thing they're doing.
They
Yeah.
had union between like the body and mind of Vision, and I'm hoping that like there was a lot of experiences that the Vision in the show had that the real Vision didn't have, and I'm hoping that Wanda at some point, if Vision comes back, reconciles that, because I feel like part of Vision is with her. She destroyed the Infinity Stone, the Mind Stone, and the stone is also part of her. So it's definitely that one part that she can restore in Vision because she broke it herself.
Mm.
And honestly, like their romance, their love, like gets to me so much. They both have such amazing chemistry. Even White Vision, when he comes up to her and he says Wanda, I don't know how Paul Bettany, but the way he says Wanda always gets to me. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
And it obviously got to Wanda herself, and she like he reached out to her, and then he started like trying to crush her face, and I love that. You know,
I had a question. Why did she lose? So like it's pretty, they have it pretty set. Why did she lose her Sarkovian accent in like that one scene where it's like them not in Sarkovia, but like not in Westview?
So okay, so
because it's hard to keep an accent up.
Yeah, but like she did it when she, like, as soon as she left the bubble, she had it again. But then randomly, this one time in the past, this one flashback, she's like, I'm gonna talk like a sitcom character again.
And she's been slowly losing it every film, which is also strange. It's like you don't move abroad and then in like 3 years start, sounding fundamentally differently, I feel like.
Well, I mean, I felt like it was kind of one of those things they were doing with Halle Berry's Storm, which is just like, the accent isn't working. Let's slowly move away. Like,
I will say, and like Gabe and Alistair and Zach, I know you guys can relate to this. Like, we had Aaron Reese on for one of the episodes, and he kind of related it to like, if you have family members that aren't like English speaking, and how sometimes they will go into one or the other. So that's why I kind of related it to like my mom when she would get mad at me would suddenly like, be like mad Puerto Rican and like, telling me she's hit me with her chancla. But like, other than that, my mom doesn't really have an accent. So I was kind of thinking of it like that only because I feel like Wanda's age is so wacky bananas that like, maybe she was supposed to be still like a teenager when she was in Sokovia.
Maybe it's like Hilaria Baldwin.
Yes.
Wait, can I complete aside, which my mother, who is a 74-year-old Puerto Rican woman, went to me, Ian, she's like talking to me about Trump and like how much she hates him. And then was like, pauses and goes, did Alec Baldwin's wife really fake a Spanish accent? Isn't that racist? And I was like, yes, the answer is yes.
oh no.
My mom doesn't keep up with anything.
My mom's gonna get a voicemail from Alec.
I know.
Be like,
They call my mom a pig.
Alicia.
Has nobody called his daughter a pig or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's like how I justify it because they call it out so much. I loved when Agatha was like, "Oh, that accent!" Like Agatha was like, "You're not good at this accent."
Well, it is just really strange. It's like, yeah, I'm not really sure how old she is or how much time she spent here, and like, sure, she grew up watching American sitcoms. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but the accent is like, it is dipping in and out all willy nilly, and I need.
It's like I understood it within the context of the bubble, and because they explain it very clearly. As soon as she left that bubble, her accent was back, and we just have that one singular random scene of her and Vision that just made no sense whatsoever with it.
With the sweatpants where he says the thing about grief that all of Twitter decided to fight about. It was a beautiful line. Leave it alone. I don't know why we have to ruin good things, right? It's just
oh well, it's Twitter. Twitter only ruins good things. If you want to be happy, don't go on Twitter.
That's why Adam and I exist so well on Twitter.
I know. I did pick the right last few weeks to take a step back. It's somebody's like, because people, that's the thing, is like you can't leave Twitter now because too many people still on there who are like, this is giving me a stroke. What do you think about this? And I'm like, I can't, please, I don't even understand what that, I don't even know what that is. Like, just take it away from me. They're like, no, but she's being weird. And I'm like, you have to take it away from me.
Every time Alex tweets like, imagine explaining this to a straight person. I'm like, I don't know explain it to me. Like every time.
You're pretty close to straight sometimes though.
Ugh, that's rude. I experimented when I was younger.
Yes.
I do want to say that Alex tried to come for me on Twitter by implying that the joke I made was incorrect because Emma Frost would never wear green, and some unnamed unknown fan came through with 3 different screenshot examples of Emma Frost.
Of course they did. Of
Because
course
she wore it in the Phalanx Covenant She wore an all green leotard. Alex, you fake fan.
And then I just responded with a picture of oh my god, what's her name? The woman who played the White Queen in that poorly
January
done.
Jones.
Oh God.
No,
Finola Hughes.
Finola
Ooh.
Hughes. I keep wanting to call her Tallulah. Finola.
Oh, from Chronicles of Narnia.
Nola Hughes, yes.
Adam and I discussed that movie this summer. on
It
the
was
podcast.
great. Honestly, it was a great. It was a goosebumps ass movie. That's my review.
But
Yeah.
she wore some atrocious things in that. So Emma Frost has lived many lives.
And it's so weird that her costume was the only one that was like comic accurate in that whole weird TV movie.
She was the only one costumed out. Everyone else was like 90s.
And she's in like very like Party City version of.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
I'll never get over those bangs that they brought back for Magic in. Oh, man.
But so what else? So I do wish I felt like we had a really good, not only, I mean, I know we're going back to Darcy, but Darcy and Vision had a really good dynamic. I kind of would have liked to see a little bit more of them.
Right.
Zach, what did you think of that?
I think they were okay with what we got from them. I mean, they did have a really good dynamic. They did. I think there were other characters and other little duos and trios that they should have spent more time on, like Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy. But like, I don't know, the Darcy and Vision thing we got, I thought that was fun. I don't know.
Yeah, and Hayward, I don't know, do we think we've seen the last of Hayward?
No.
No.
I mean, because it's like as Gabe
I
said,
wish.
like again, like if this was real life, like Hayward would put us through like we'd be put through like 10 news cycles of like we shouldn't be. It would be that.
We should be.
Before he'd even be in custody.
I mean, he tried to shoot children multiple times.
I
Like, it
texted a
wasn't-
friend that
I don't think the government would care though.
It was like
I don't
one
think the government
shot.
cares
It
that he
wasn't
tried
just
to
one
shoot
shot.
children. I'm surprised they arrested him at all and didn't give him a Medal of Honor.
I texted a friend that, and then that person was like, they were like, oh, those kids aren't real, and I was like, Hayward didn't know that.
Hayward is like the prime example of like what the government views as a good guy. So like, yeah, him getting arrested is like shocking.
Well, and it's funny because we had just like that night finished Iron Man 3, where like literally the vice president is arrested on no evidence, even though we know he did it. Like it's still like he's perp walked out of the White House. It's just like that would never happen. It's very 2013 to think that would happen.
I will say for Hayward, he wasn't aiming at the twins for some reason, because he was aiming between them.
That is weird. Yeah.
That was a little weird for me. It was like, it's like, why would you aim between the twins?
Because when Monica stepped in, she stepped between them and it hit her. So, I mean, like script wise, he was shooting at them, but
You've really found a way to give every character the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. And the eternal
Like,
optimism.
well, actually, this character was actually not so bad because of this reason right here. He was actually aiming a centimeter away from the twins, which means he was not aiming at them at all.
That's why Alistair is a sweet angel.
That's the thing. I'm like I'm endeared. But because it is weird blocking, because it was his stance is weird because he's kind of standing like this.
I mean, I just think it's like
he
he's
doesn't
not
have
that good of
emotion.
he was just trying to like
Well, Wanted is part of the universe, isn't it? Are we talking about this?
yeah.
But no, no. I do think he's definitely evil, and I think at that point it was like him like confirming that he's evil, but it's still really weird because I know that he was good friends with Monica's mother, and he was good friends with Monica, so I felt like him. I wanted to see him develop more as an evil character.
Excuse me, what part of the episode are we on? Are we on like any sort of track, or
We're not following any linear timeline.
This is
We're
not
just
a
talking about our
podcast.
favorite
We're just
females
gonna-
and then like finding which plot line we can skew off of after.
Yeah, no. I mean, because that's the thing. Because like, yeah, Maria Rambo. Like, I wonder like what she like. Because he's been lying about everything else. I'm sure like if she could come back for like a second, she'd be like, I did not approve him to be director. Like,
Her Did he kill her?
No, she did.
Well, no, she had cancer, but at the same time, like, I was disappointed because the actress was so good in Captain Marvel. She was one of the best parts of Captain Marvel. And then I felt like they killed her off too soon once we got to WandaVision. I was like, really?
I admittedly have not seen Captain Marvel.
It's
They're
hard.
just it's specifically because like Brie Larson does not strike me as interesting. So like I've just put it off from watching. Like I loved her in United States of Terra, but like other than that, like I don't like what does Brie Larson look like? I don't know. Like who is that person who like Blake Lively? Like they all have that face. It's like, are you Blake Lively? Are you Brie Larson?
You know she's
You're not Captain America. Or Captain Marvel to me. I don't really care.
Discard.
I
as we speak.
You're like all these white ladies.
Yeah, like you all have
I
a blonde
want-
bob. Like you're like Captain Marvel. I just don't care.
I want a simple favor with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's what I was
Mash
thinking.
it up.
I'm imagining Blake Lively in a room.
I couldn't pick her
Yeah,
out.
right.
If you were in the mall and Blake Lively walked by you, would you know it was Blake Lively? I wouldn't.
You know, when I
Yeah, I did like Captain Marvel though. I really, really did.
Look, I'm gonna watch it. Like I'm gonna watch it. It's just like I really put it on the back burner because I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So,
I think, yeah, it got caught up in a really weird moment where it was kind of becoming like a symbol of whether or not the MCU could accept feminism, which is like just an unnecessary framework to consider a film in. It's just there was a lot about it coming out that made it feel unnecessarily divisive. What I do wonder though is like, would WandaVision have been stronger, or would Monica's maybe story have been stronger if we'd gotten like Captain Marvel 2 beforehand? Like if we had kind of already seen Tiana Paris like in these powers and then we kind of jump back. I don't know.
Maybe
I
they're
know.
setting her up for us to like her so they can make her super powerful in the future. Like we're just gonna give you a little tease of her. We see that you like her. Now she's gonna be badass going forward. Now that the scroll found her.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like they're gonna have her and Carol, Captain Marvel's issues unresolved, and she's gonna be like, "Well, you didn't visit once. Like you didn't visit my mom once, and you guys were like best friends and maybe roommates." But you know, it's kind of I feel like that might be an interesting route for her to just be like, well, I have superpowers now and I'm in space now and I didn't forget my friends like you did.
I would just say, you know, you blipped out for 5 years. I did come. you weren't there.
wait, she was there because this takes place weeks after like the entire incident in Endgame, and she visited Monica. That seems weird to me, but it also seems I'm loving the kind of queerness that is Captain Marvel, and I'm hoping that they kind of lean into that because I
How
really
much
like
are they
that.
going to actually lean into that? Though? Let's be
As
real.
much as they did with Billy in WandaVision, but
Billy-
my God!
child for a reason. He could have aged up at the moment he was facing the military, but they left him a child.
Well, he
Because
took care of the military fine.
yeah, okay. Well, okay.
I was saying this on your podcast, on one of your podcast episodes. I want Billy and Tommy to go to Puerto Vallarta, have some like become Instagram thoughts, and be like, "Oh my god, we're so famous!"
Love
and just have
it.
just amazing abs, and they have
They
magic.
did not age them up because they still need to like cast the right type of gay camp because they're gonna be like, oh, the gays are gonna hate whoever this is. Like, so
Is
we
he gay
really
in the
gotta
comics?
just like whoever this actor is just really in for it. So he's
If
gotta
it were
be
real
like,
life, they would be on TikTok. They'd have like 8 million followers. They'd be
we're gonna end up with like 3 Billies by the end of this because they're gonna just be too messy and be like, yeah, unfortunately we had to fire the second Billy. Their Twitter was just oh my god, like we had to
It's gonna end up being fucking Darren Chris. Watch. I'm gonna
no,
be
like
Yeah, again, they're gonna they're gonna charge Ryan Murphy in charge of finding who has the best chiseled white jawline to play this gay character.
literally pick any of Ryan Murphy. They're gonna pick one of Ryan Murphy's brunettes. I'm so
Oh yeah.
what
Like
is
just
this
pick somebody from Hotel. Just throw a dart, whoever it lands on.
I mean, they are twins, right? So
Please.
just go to
Gaga
one
plays them
casting
both.
director.
Cheyenne Jackson is Wiccan. Yeah.
Kill me.
On a positive note, it could be fun if they do introduce, because they're introducing all the other Young Avengers. If they in Secret Invasion, which I'm sure now Monica is going to show up in, that they do introduce Hulkling in that, and so she can be, she can introduce those two. Yeah,
That would be great. I mean, Adam,
Come
you
on.
said this. You said this on episode 3. How like it really tracked that it's like these two very powerful queer heroes are like born amongst two very powerful women, and like
who love the shit out of it. Like the second him and her taking bullets together, being like, like just batting them away. It was great.
and so like those kids already have like a bond with her because they know she gave
Yeah.
birth to them, and then she also saved them. So like
I will say this now, knowing that like it's possible they don't like that, future MCU folks will not know what a good thing they've got, but like they really are set up to have those kids have a really, really, really strong bond with Monica, and I hope that's not completely just never seen again.
I would almost love Monica to be to those kids the way Carol was to her.
Exactly.
Like that would be.
That would be.
I would love that. I will
Anyone
say,
Marvel is listening right now.
hire us, all of us.
We've
I
said
also
nothing
mean-
but bad things, but yes.
I did love the show. I just didn't love the finale. I also wanted to point out, Adam, you said this when we talked on the phone, how the runes moment, how good that was, and that felt very Buffy, and it did.
So Buffy, it was a Buffy moment. So good.
Well, so how many of us expect that? Did anybody actually expect that? Because obviously they were pointing out the runes a lot, so there was something going to be with the runes. But
I
It
didn't.
took up a whole part of the previously on, and I was like, "Oh, these runes."
I just thought she was
Well, the-
throwing blind, but she was strategic about it, and I loved that. I thought it was great.
Zachary was comparing her to Suki.
No,
the
I
eight-
didn't do that. I didn't do that.
Yes, you
That's
did. I
not-
saw
that's
you.
not true.
You were comparing her to Suki, trying to get rid of her fairy magic. And
So embarrassed by
Oh,
the
right, I
comparison.
forgot about that.
I just thought Wanda was fed up, but like I kept on thinking. I'm sorry to bring this back to Buffy, but I kept on thinking that
I thought it was going to be like when Willow or when Giles was giving Willow that much power, so that Willow couldn't really handle it. I thought it was going to be something like that. Like Agatha wouldn't be able to handle whatever was happening.
well,
I didn't think I didn't know she was doing the runes, but I did think she was using an illusion to make Agatha think she was getting the power.
Something, yeah.
well,
I was fully not even calculating in that moment. I was just too like,
I had too many goosebumps. I was too excited.
There was a lot of exposition happening, and there were things flying through the air. So I didn't even catch that she was missing when she
And
was
I
like,
was eating Cracker Barrel. How could I have known?
yeah, exactly.
in our conversation also, like there was another moment where circling back to Emma Caulfield, and it was like really funny when she like momentarily like lifts the barrier and is like, run, get out of here. And if I was Emma Caulfield, or like honestly, like if Emma Caulfield like had Anya's energy, she would have been like, yeah, I'd run, but as I said 6 seconds ago, my daughter is currently locked in my house. I have to like go get her, and you have to let her out, and like I can't just like run out of here right now.
I mean, that is a good point. It's like, oh, but not like they're not there with Deborah Jo Rupp's husband's still at home, and like Emma Caulfield's like the hand doesn't like run. It's like, and also
Yeah,
I'd be like,
whoever was in there, there's like a whole town that like whoever was in that little shopping plaza like gets to go. Like it's
None of them made it out. When she was parting the Red Force Field, none of them made it out. There wasn't enough time for them to get all the way over there.
those
get to the bottom of the street. Yeah, there was no time.
for free. You were
Okay,
getting all the
see,
stuff
we've
on
got
extreme discount.
everybody. Who said okay, so what's his name? Pokemon Snapped on Twitter, right? He said that
Colin.
ungrateful because like people pay hundreds, if not thousands, to like have that experience of like LARPing or something like that. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was Colin Smith, who has been on the podcast a lot. He's great. Yeah, I don't know. The whole like that whole thing with the town, I thought was a little bit weird because I got them like confronting her and them wanting to, but it's like then she puts you all in those, chokeholds, every single one of you. Like, what did you think was going to happen? She is a super powerful witch who created the world you're existing in. Maybe like, I don't know.
I thought all of the Wizard of Oz references throughout the series were really cool.
Wait, name more than I only got the boots when they she threw the car, which I did like that moment.
So you got that on the theater screen. They were like showing Wizard of Oz one day. Then you just have the whole overarching element of like this being something that starts out in black and white, turns into color. You have Scarlet Witch, who's the Wicked Witch of Westview.
Then
and,
there was
Agatha is the Witch of the East, which is why her boots were showing. Like it's just like cute little tiny things.
and then like Agatha with the dog, like I killed your dog. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well,
Which, by the way, I was like, did you
Adam.
need to do that? Like, I would like that's
Adam's one of those psychotic people that's like, a dog got harmed. I hate it. I cannot deal.
one of those psychotic, one of those crazies.
One of those crazy people who
Those
hate dog killers.
Well, no, I mean, like you can watch a horror movie where everyone's murdered and you're like, but like someone like kicks a dog and you're like, I hate it.
Yeah,
Was
that's
it
right.
a dog under the spell, or was it a dog she invented for the children? That's my biggest question.
That is
Yeah,
a
'cause
weird.
The dog did just
Oh,
show
wait.
up.
Wait, Alistair and Zach are both trying to talk, and they.
It was
And the children, and so Agatha
Oh, go
defended.
ahead. My theory, it was Sarah's daughter's dog, and it was real.
No,
She's gonna have to explain that.
She's gonna have
Daughter,
to.
yeah.
it was a spy dog. Have you guys seen Dogs and Cats?
Yeah.
Yes,
Dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they were doing.
I did.
they were spies.
It was gonna be. I thought like maybe Agatha wasn't all the way
MCU.
evil, and that the dog was somebody after the twins, and maybe like I don't know. I gave her too much credit, I guess.
I mean, I will say, Agatha all along was a little bit misleading because it really wasn't her all along.
It wasn't at
It
all.
was Wanda. It was fucking Wanda.
Unless we lean into it, like all these nightmares, Agatha.
No, it wasn't, baby. It wasn't.
Unless you subscribe. Yeah.
It is until it's confirmed it's not.
Zach and Alistair are about to break up on this live stream.
For Catherine Hahn. That will have been the gayest thing she's participated in.
Yeah, like Vision and White Vision in the library.
Uh-huh.
It'll be a thing like, are you a ship? Ship. If we replace
Wait, okay.
a ship,
Terrible question. How long before we get a Vision, White Vision gay porn parody? Are we placing?
Give
Well,
it
if it wasn't the
more week.
pandemic, men.com would be on it like tomorrow.
But how many people would watch it? Let's let.
Like
Well, I
July.
guarantee you that like the Deviant Art folks are already on it.
Yeah.
Me?
yeah.
I would.
Ian, you and your skeleton guys, like
I like a range. I have a range. I don't.
range.
I end up dating the skeletons. Those are all that like me.
Jack Skellington, you're like, hey.
I'm like, "Oh, I'll keep my shirt on, but like, we'll do this.
Vision's like really hot though, and the thing is, Paul Bettany, I would not find. You know what I mean?
It's just the makeup.
He needs the magenta. Yeah.
Makeup,
I
it's
get
the
it.
suit. It's
Well, he has a good facial structure, and I think that they really enhance the facial structure. And I feel like Paul Bettany feels like a really good uncle.
he
know?
does. And you know what? Something about the posture is just it's very nice. It's very
Yeah.
nice.
I
It's
hate
also
the, like-
sort of like confident, calm way he deals. It's like he's sort of
Yes.
just tender.
Alistair, I
tender
hate that
top. Yeah.
your description makes sense, but like your description was, he's a nice uncle. That's why we want to fuck him.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I was saying Paul Bettany feels like a nice uncle.
Oh,
Vision feels different from that because he,
Oh, don't be a prude, Zach.
well, because he has his stuff, he has his padding.
a prude. We're not
but-
fucking uncles
but-
over here.
but
Just-
I will say the first thing I thought when I saw White Vision, I was like, wow, he really tucked for this.
I don't think he was tucking.
I thought he was tucking. I'm pretty sure he was tucking.
Discord, what's your verdict on that?
I'm not tucked right now.
So then White Vision did not tuck.
So why eat?
That's
Oh, poor Paul.
Well, I think Paul Bettany, I kind of agree with what you're all saying. Like Paul Bettany, to me, isn't a man that I would have said like I would have ever been like, oh, he's hot. But like as Vision, it's his demeanor. It's that he's nice but powerful. It's that he's confident but like very willing to
The
like.
entire internet's like lit up over him right now.
And he filled out that suit so well. His shoulders.
I
look
like them
nice.
editing him with that gold chain on, like The Rock.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that it's wild that both of them, Scarlet Witch and Vision, I think I read that like they only had 10 minutes of screen time prior to this, like all together.
Oh
Oh, yeah.
wow.
And they're not someone who I would have picked out as being like, oh, these two actors are so good in the Marvel universe. But now it's like, oh, they are. They're like two of the best. They just gave like two of the best performances.
And if you had like interviewed me like right after, if we had done like a podcast on in like Infinity War or whatever, like right after, I would have been like I feel like those like the WandaVision like scenes earlier, like those did not hit at all for me until watching this, and then watching it again, I was just like, oh my god. And then like the her having to like kablamo the stone out of his head at the end, and that was just like, oh, it was this awful moment. So like, yeah, they really are really in a good position to be like using phase 4 to like retcon kind of goodness into older
Well,
stuff.
they spent like, if you look at like all, I think like what, Age of Ultron, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, Scarlet Witch has like 2 minutes of screen time. And it's always the same tone of like, you took something from me, I'm really sad, I'm gonna kick your butt now. And it's like there was no character beyond that.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see like,
He listens.
like look at all this look at all this stuff that happened to her, and it's like, wow, that was super shitty. And like and I feel like the series made you really think about it, because it was just like all like the commercials were connected to her, and it was nice to see like, even if it was like in an Easter egg way, Marvel kind of try to flesh out this character and get people interested in this character, maybe even like maybe some people not even knowing it, and you're just trying to find Easter eggs in the commercials. You're just like, oh, this is why Wanda acts this way and whatnot.
I think that's really interesting because like it's the perfect use of like the new Disney Plus show format for these things, where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna take this magnifying glass to this thing. And I wonder if like the reverse, I'm trying not to be like super negative about Falcon and Winter Soldier coming up, but I'm like, I'm trying to watch the trailer and get jacked for it, but I'm just like,
If there's
But,
not like a lead female somewhere, I'm just so wildly uninterested. I don't like.
No,
I
but
don't
we're
care
getting-
about Bucky.
we're getting
He's hot.
Right, he is. Yes, he is.
We're getting Carter.
Sharon Carter.
What's her? Sharon Carter.
Emily
Sharon.
Face from Revenge.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Yes, but I mean, love her, and so
A character
like, yeah,
I realized had no chemistry with Captain America, and they're like, all right, we're gonna stop showing her. But now that he's no longer there, they're like, all right, we can bring her back in.
yeah.
I
I
also
mean, so
find the
that's what I'm
Captain America
wondering.
side of things less interesting. Like I do like the Captain America movies a lot, but like as far like I find it all less interesting.
It's an extra energy they didn't need with her bit. Like I'm wondering if the reverse will be. I fear the.
I'm wondering
reverse
that too,
will be
yeah.
With this, where it's like we have dug into Winter Soldier, so like I'm wondering what's unexamined about him. Maybe we need to know more about Falcon or whatever. Like I want to know like what new stuff is this show really going to be revealing within.
It's also like really rude to go from just like Catherine Hahn and witchcraft to two dudes fighting people.
It's why I hate Riley. This is like a big season of like Riley people. Like, okay, great, you have a gun and you have muscles, and I just don't care.
Yeah,
and it's like the reason I don't like Captain America is the same reason I don't like Cyclops. Like, I just don't like that trope of man, and that's why I hated like Riley. I always related Riley to Cyclops. Also, like they're all that same trope. And this show is going to be very like along the lines of things that I don't personally jive with.
Yeah. So my hope is that this kind of hews closer tonally to Winter Soldier, in that
I do really like Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier is so good. We're watching it tonight. Like it's like I hope they at least go tonally to that, which is let's examine, should all these folks have all of this like crazy machinery, and like that's my thing, like that going into like a military or like kind of thing, like going into like that, once we're kind of going into like that's exciting. But like all the Captain America movies were really about how like this is good, but then if you get too cowboyish, here's what you get. Like, so I'm wondering if they're gonna like continue investigating that, or who they're even working for now. Are they working for Sword?
Gabe?
Who are those two working for? It's not Shield, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. No, I was just gonna say that was my problem with the context in which Wanda was introduced, right? It's like I feel like it was under the shadow of this like, I don't know, Captain America, Tony Stark era, so that when she's introduced, we're getting more like Eastern European Hot Topic and less like Magical Witch. So I kind of, for a character that has been retconned several times in the comics, I'm here for like slightly tweaking the way we're moving forward with her now.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I just I like that we're applying a lens on a character that didn't get a lot of development, and it almost makes me thankful they didn't double down too hard on her before. But then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, with these other characters, we do have so much dialogue. We have these relationships so fleshed out. It's like, I don't know. Hopefully they're focusing on Falcon's sort of ascension into this Captain America-esque figure, but even that seems also very weird and tired to me. Like, kind of like expecting a black man to fill in this like leadership role left by a white guy to be like diversity. Like I can't, everything about it makes me kind of like, I'll probably watch it. But I also, to be fair, I haven't watched Winter Soldier. It's one of like 3 early Marvel ones. It's
good. Like for someone who
really
I don't, like I said, I don't give a fuck about Captain America really, but that movie is really, really good.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, like, if Discord likes it, you know, because like you were just saying, but like, right, that one, like, aside from like, I can understand the disinterest in like that story, but I think it's like told really well.
I liked it. I'd watch it again.
It's a gag because it's really like I can't believe this came out in 2014 and literally predicted how the next few years of our lives would unfold.
Yeah.
Because it's really all about like the ghouls are everywhere and they were always here, and you know, and
Yeah.
half of us knew, and the other half of you who are just learning now. I'm sorry, but you know, here you are.
I think the Captain America movies are better than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Huh.
I know. I have like the most like nobody agrees.
These chaotic
with me
takes.
at all. I tried to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3 times. I was like, I liked Chris Pratt back then. You know, all of this is like, I love 80s music. Like all of this is set up for me to love this movie. And I tried to watch it 3 times. It's like, well, at this point, I just must not.
I didn't.
I felt like the whole movie was just like the same thing set into like 3 different sections. It's like, we lost something, now we have to chase it, now there's explosions. Now somebody else has it, now we're chasing them while he's chasing us. And then it just like kept building with somebody chasing somebody, chasing somebody, chasing something, mixed with explosions with a couple of like laughs. And I didn't love it.
All right,
and
I wanna hear-
Counterpoint, Rocket Raccoon is my favorite character.
oh, he's cute as can be.
I want to hear what Zach. I didn't know that you don't like Guardians of the. Well, maybe I did.
Or I couldn't care less about.
I
Guardians.
couldn't care less.
And again, just like you said, like the soundtrack was like super hyped up at the time it came out, and like it was supposed to be this real cool thing. I waited a long time to watch it. I watched it and I expected it to be this big thing, and I didn't care about it. I just didn't care. Maybe it was that I waited too long or something, but I would rather watch Winter Soldier and Civil War than any Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't have as much substance. I feel like the other ones are really packed full of like details and substance and character development, and this one's just again like chase this, get it.
Characters, but it's just I don't know. Maybe I don't know what it is. I don't care.
And then we have Winter Soldier and Civil War and Captain America. I'm sorry, but before we had Billy, and even though Billy and Valkyrie aren't really on screen gay, you know, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. I was a Stucky shipper. I'm gonna admit to everybody I was a Stucky shipper. And in Winter Soldier, even the directors say that it was a love story. They say it was a bromantical love story between the two.
Romantical.
But as somebody who didn't see myself in the MCU, like I definitely connected to that. So I'm very curious to see the Winter Soldier. I don't think he's gay, but I'm very curious. I'm very like right now stuck on the Winter Soldier character for the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
He's just so hot. I would watch it because I just like to stare at him. I think he's so beautiful.
Yeah, I wonder what the dynamic between the two of them is going to be now that like Steve Rogers isn't there. But yeah, I think even with going back to Guardians, like I feel like it's like it can be a mixed bag. I don't like when things get too cute, and I feel like the first movie was like cute, and the second movie was like it was fully aware of how cute and winky it was. But I think Guardians did a very important thing for the MCU in that it started allowing humor back in, because you don't realize how fucking humorless Phase 2 is.
Yeah,
And
Ragnarok's one of my favorites of all of them because it's so funny.
you would not have Ragnarok without. You would
Right,
not have
I
this
agree with
new
that.
pivot of Thor, which is a brilliant pivot for that.
I mean, and thank
character.
God, because
Things
Dark
in
World,
life.
I hated that movie.
It was and it quickly turned like least favorite Avenger to probably one of the most favorite like ones. Like it was, and it's I think just tonally it does that, and I think WandaVision is going to do that going forward. I think it's a similar type of disruptor where it's a new way of telling a story, allowing people a little more adventurousness in there, and frankly inviting a lot more like low-key queer sensibility in there. Maybe not like on-screen gayness, but like a campy song and shit, like, and a this and that. Like they're like, I think allowing these flourishes, because I think if WandaVision had been like a bomb and never been hated it or no one watched it or whatever like that, you know, it could have been like blamed on, well, it made all these weird, tacky Batman and Robin type choices. Where it was like, though they shouldn't have done a sing along, they shouldn't have done songs, the commercials were too cute, like, but like because it works so well, it's gonna, I think, hopefully embolden people to kind of keep creating, and it's gonna allow basically creators to convince Marvel and Kevin Feige to like be like, listen, this is gonna work, like, because it worked this way, and kind of like hopefully convince, and frankly I just hope it convinces them to like not shortchange the Wiccan character when they bring him in.
But it does make us wonder, like, how long that's going to take, because you got to keep in mind, like, this Falcon and Winter Soldier and then Loki were all made like together, right? And like the same amount of time, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have those like all lined up back to back to back. That how long are we gonna have to wait for stuff like this? More risk taking? Are we gonna get a lot more smash than let's deal with a little bit of emotion here?
And it's all queer baiting, which I don't think, obviously, I don't think within the WandaVision story that we're ready for like the Hulkling, Wiccan portion of it.
They're kids, of course.
But I do think we're ready for gay characters in the MCU, and I know that there's this whole thing with China, but China isn't getting Disney Plus right now, so I think we could have gay characters at least in Disney Plus one, and they could just be like bros in like the movies.
See, that is the question. It's going to be like
X-Men coming up soon. Aren't things going to have to slowly start getting a little bit more queer?
I mean,
they're just going to have to. They're just going to be too much of it otherwise. And I do think that like, frankly, I think the question is not going to be like, are there gay characters or not? Because in general, because I was like having this conversation where they were like, oh, they're just going to hold hands and maybe peck or whatever. And I was like, that's all any relationships are in MCU. Like they're really not doing much more. There's no, can you think of any?
Ryan Reynolds, they're going to bring Deadpool in and things are going to start getting real gay.
Right. But that's the other thing is like, it's going to be like, even if they, because like bringing in Wiccan, as a gay character, it's going to be much less of a question of like, are they bringing him in? Is he gay, like on screen? But more like, is he going to be, I'm just a guy who like, or are they gonna cast an F word?
I think we know he's the sensitive one. That is the one thing the show was very clear about. They were like, he's things. He's not.
Adam and I said that in the podcast episode, and Tom Lang told us we were projecting. He was like, I did not get that. But I was like, I really think they did it on purpose, right?
I had no idea that one of those kids are supposed to be gay. I had no idea.
They're both queer.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like everyone's been talking about this whole time. I'm like, is that a real thing? Like, do we just think these kids are like queer, or like are they actually? I didn't know. I just
I am publicly accusing that young actor of being gay.
projecting our queerness on others that we're like, wait,
Well, not
Is this
projecting
actually a
it, not
thing?
projecting it on others. It's just that that's what we want. You know, that's we want to see ourselves represented. And when they do the little, well, on Twitter, you know, these characters can be queer, but in the movies, that's not going to happen. And when it takes so long for that to happen, then, you know, I don't know. Maybe we start seeing queer baiting. Maybe we start.
I mean, that's the thing where but like, I think Alistair, you were mentioning earlier, or Zach, you know, you were talking about like, well, how long is it? Because they plan this so far out. They do reshoots. Like they have tinkered with characters and jokes and included stuff. Like Infinity War had a lot of changes on set because of how well Thor Ragnarok did and Black Panther did. Like they included a lot more.
And
Wakanda
Spider-Man was
stuff,
like
they
completely
included a lot
CGI'd
more.
into Civil War.
Yeah. And
get-
they completely changed like Thor's tone. They were shooting like Infinity War. There was something where like they had just wrapped Ragnarok and then went right away into Infinity War, and they were like, hey, Thor's kind of taking this tone, and it really, really worked for everybody, you know, and like they were changing that on set. So like I think there would be something where like they're still shooting Strange 2 in London. Like I could see them being like, we need to like bring Catherine Hahn in for like one scene, like just write a scene, like just get her to London.
So I want to point out in the chat Discord, everyone is agreeing with you. Ruben said we stand Discord, and I think Jared, Mike also said they agree with you. And Mike asked, do we all think that the lesbian character in the upcoming Eternals will be shown as queer, or just like they'll say she's queer? I do. This might be maybe I'm channeling my angel Alistair, but I have faith that like moving forward, they know that if it's like a queer hero, they're gonna like. I feel like they did it with Valkyrie, and for me, I will say I am not a huge fan of Thor Ragnarok. I think it's a little too stupid. But I love Guardians
It's
of
so
the Galaxy.
funny.
I thought Bruce Banner being so silly was like too much. Like I felt like he's more like a serious, like uptight dad, and he was like too like goofy. Whoa, I don't know what's going on, but I'm a scientist.
But what about the Hulk butt?
That was this much crack. There was not.
That was for you, Adam. That's all that
Just
was.
for me.
The
Yeah.
way
Like
he
the bigger
looks
man.
now, I'll take any little bit I can get. That's the weird thing the internet's gonna have to grapple with when because we got half and half Hulk, and I could hit. I would.
100%.
So I'm interested. I'm very interested in seeing more crack on that front. But see, I will not to get off on this tangent because I know we're nearing the end. But Ian, this is where I think Thor Ragnarok made me interested in a character like Hulk, where I had not been before. That was the problem, that it was like those early Marvel films suffered from the same thing that the DCU has for a long time. Again, not to open a can of worms, but like treating these characters with like reverence and seriousness is not sustainable in the long term. And I also don't think it's realistic. Like,
I was worried you were going to say his name of that director, and I was like, please don't bring it up.
oh God, never. Oh my God, not spoken. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, if you ask me what DCU properties I've enjoyed or have turned me on the most, all their animated ones, even their like Age of Apocalypse animated one, was like, it had a lot of humor. It's where we learned that King Shark was bisexual or gay. You know what I mean? Like, I love shit like that.
The Harley cartoon is pretty funny.
So good.
Yes,
I love
Harley
it.
Quinn cartoon and Doom Patrol are the two latest I've watched, where I'm like, these are shows that aren't afraid to get weird, aren't afraid to be funny, and play with characters that are, you know, considered classic in a way that's kind of refreshing and maybe a little more honest given the world we live in, kind of.
You know, that's funny. I just finished Doom Patrol, I think 2 days ago, Gabe. I just finished season 2. It's so good. And I like the things. I think that DCU needs to realize that like those things really work, because Marvel could never. Like Disney, there's no way Disney will ever let them redo like a Jessica Jones season or anything like that. Like I feel like Disney would rather like never do Marvel again than have like a character who's cursing and fucking, right?
So how do we think about what's going to happen with Deadpool?
Yeah, that's a big question.
That I don't know. I
Ryan
don't
Reynolds
know.
is not going to let that movie not be obscene. Like, and they said it's still going to be rated R. I don't
They
think
did say that, yes.
There's no way you could. Those are the best movies. You can't make that movie and not have him be fucking ridiculous.
Right.
I think they're gonna mostly kind of like fox him up. I feel like it's gonna be more like a Fox property of Disney.
Yeah.
It will be a Disney property, and like we talked about Valkyrie a little bit, but I feel like Valkyrie, for me, I know she's supposed to be canonically bisexual. That was confirmed by the directors, but that was confirmed off screen, which felt very JKR to me.
Yeah, don't say her name either.
Like all of this stuff, like when it comes to queer characters, like, yeah, they're queer, but like if you're not showing, thing, then it's not real. Like for me, it's not real. Like,
so what I see happening is they're gonna film just enough to give us something, but enough that they can take it out if needed. If they decide to go the route last minute, we're not gonna do this. Just take it out,
it's gonna be like the Star Wars last scene where you had like somebody in the distance.
Yeah,
I
think Deadpool will be a good example for that. Is like when we see what they do. I mean, I guess there'll be other things that come out before Deadpool, but when we see what happens with Deadpool, how far they're willing to go, I guess we'll kind of get a good indicator of like where Disney's kind of sitting right now.
Yeah. Do you think they'll put him in like little mini cameos amongst the like X-Men and amongst the Avengers?
I wish.
I think you can do it in a way where he's not cursing in those. Like there would be funny ways to bleep him out, but like for a whole film, you gotta have him as gay and loud and as he is.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
A question. I know Marvel isn't really doing the Hulu thing anymore. I know Hellstrom didn't do well, but Runaways was like very, very explicit about the lesbian romance among two of its leads in a way that was woven in without feeling ham-fisted and without being like, look, lesbians, and was germane to the story. That show also obviously did not fare very
That one show coming out on Hulu looks pretty funny. That almost claymation one that kind of looks like Robot Chicken.
Oh, MODOK, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Was Runaways in the Disney era or was it pre-Disney acquisition?
It was in the middle, I think. I think the last season was after. That's why it was kind of just like dumped out with no promo.
Which is a shame. It was a cool concept, but
I thought it's weird because it's one of my favorite Marvel comics, but it like doesn't rank in Marvel series favorites.
It wasn't great.
I think it was just a little bit too dull, and I think oftentimes a lot of those shows. I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a show I watched. It was hit or miss for me, but I really at the end liked it. I liked the show. I think it had really great characters. And Alistair, I know you just finished it too, right? Like you could feel almost the Marvel holding them back sometimes. Like they weren't allowed to do certain things. And I don't think it was the show's fault. I think it was like Marvel not letting them use them.
Well, you can really feel it because during phase 2 of the MCU, they were super involved in like what was going on in the MCU. They were almost turned into like the cleanup crew, Avengers. But then they kind of diverted off and kind of like owned themselves a little bit. But this last season that we had in 2020,
Was like
they talked about the quantum realm, they talked about the multiverse, and at the end, it almost seemed like they were coming back into it. And I've heard rumblings about Quake coming back to reprise her role. We all want Quake and Melinda May to come back.
Ming-Na Wen deserves. I still say that like, so I did a like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. roundtable. Ming-Na Wen is still my favorite person I've like ever interviewed ever because she was so charming, very flirty. Like she logged in 10 minutes early and I was already there, and so she was like, Ian, it's just you and I, let me interview you, and like was asking me about doing podcasts and was like, how much work do you spend on this? Like, would it take up too much of my life if I did one? And I was like, I mean, probably, but you could probably pay someone to like edit it and everything. She was like, I'll have to think about that.
Dude, he was going on the homo cast.
I think the one thing that
Gabe, I love seeing you freak out.
The one thing that WandaVision really benefited from, though, as opposed to like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all those other things, that every episode was like $20 million. And it's like, you don't have to have some janky, like booger fucking Marvel stuff like thrown out there. And then compared to like what they spent, like I think the reported budget was almost $200 million for 9 episodes or something, and it's just like that's more than they spent on Doctor Strange. And it's like,
wow, yeah.
And I think that helps because it's just like if you've seen those shows and you've watched those shows, a lot of them look really janky and cheap, and it's just
No,
like,
I was
well,
thinking about how cool it is to watch a TV show with a movie budget.
yeah.
So cool. So
I think that's another thing that like I think was maybe I was talking to you, Ian. I do a lot of like late night, and another thing to Ian when he's trying to edit the podcast.
It is always nights when I'm trying to edit.
Because we got into this thing where we were basically having this conversation about like Marvel gay characters and people, and I was being like, yeah, I was like kind of advocating for like the future, and then you were like, well, you know, in this, and you kept naming more and more like obscure stuff, and I just was, and I kind of hit a point where I realized where I was just like, I want us on a rich show or a rich movie.
I want us to have the budget.
The marquee one. Don't give me this B level, just the rich one. That's what I want. Like,
oh, you don't want to
we
show
got
them.
it kind of like
All right, but we should wrap up. Everyone, I'm gonna have Adam, you and I will be doing this tomorrow during our recording as well. Zach and Alistair, what grade would you give the final episode?
I would give it. Go first. Go ahead.
So I would give it like a 90, like an A-, just because I think they have the budget for 10 minutes extra for those side characters. I do think, but I really loved everything that went on in the show besides that.
Okay. I would also give it an A-, and I apologize to everybody that we didn't talk about a single thing that happened in this episode. But it was
Kind of.
We did a little bit.
We did a little bit. Listen, I knew this would
Zach,
be
you
chaotic.
drained that marg and you were really on. It's great.
Zach was like, I came prepared, and you F words didn't do shit.
trying to be professional.
Adam, what grade are you gonna give it?
Listen, I'm not gonna kneecap it. I loved it. I can give it an A. I'm giving this an A with a asterisk that it's a cumulative grade. I know, like I can't separate the two right now because my emotions were just on full blast the entire time. I like super imprinted on the show. It's gonna like just live in my head. So happy it happened.
Discord.
Oh, I'd give it an A for sure. Any moment you see like some female come into like her moment of like pure power, like my blood just gets going, and my chicken sandwich gave it an A too.
Alex, what grade did you give it?
I will give it a B-.
Okay.
In an Asian family, that's really bad. I will give the series an A- though. I thought the series was really great.
Gabe.
Before Alex said it, I was also thinking B-, and here's why. I'm gonna tell this series what my teachers told me when I would phone in an essay the night before. I've seen it do better work, and for that reason, I am giving the finale a B-. But I do think the entire season was strong, and like I said, this is a strong story. I just think the plot was resolved in a very rushed and unsatisfying way. So because I think we needed maybe a little more time, and this last episode could have been 2, I will give it a B-, but definitely an A- to the entire series.
All right. Okay, wait. I gotta read this comment because Stephen Kurtz just said, well, Buffy was filmed on with a $5 Starbucks gift card and a Yankee Candle, and it was still incredible. Which is accurate.
Is that Charisma Carpenter's writer? Give me a Yankee Candle, man. I've learned to expect very little from the staff here, so just...
Yeah, I think that was like the headline of that like Joss Whedon apologist article. It was just like, you got to understand, this is like really on a nothing budget. It was very tensions were high. Yeah.
Imagine season 7 finale on a WandaVision budget.
Oh gosh.
2-hour finale.
Well,
We've got a whole hour for a battle. You know, it would have been great.
Well, season 6 finale, we would have seen Dark Willow go on like super Dark Willow. Oh god, okay. Whatever.
She would have gone through Sunnydale rather than just the magic box.
Exactly.
I will say I give it a B- as well, which is the worst grade I've given a WandaVision episode. It was almost a C+, but all of you convinced me to go up to a B-.
Well, then question, what did you give the last episode? I didn't hear that.
A B.
Okay, so why did the last episode get a? Wait, did you say this one was a B or a B minus?
B minus. This is less because
Worse than the last one then.
I will say that I don't think it was like everyone's like blaming the fan theories. I found the fan theories mostly annoying. I don't think that affected the show. I think the show's expectations of having a reveal that was like, holy shit, every episode, and the last two didn't have anything that like blew my mind. And that's the show's fault, not fan theory's fault. That's the show kept upping the stakes, and then it felt like for the last two episodes, it was like, well, we already upped the stakes. We don't need to up them again. And I was like, but I enjoyed that in the show. And that was what bothered me the most, was that, like, you know, we got Pietro at the end of that one episode and their confrontation, Wanda and Vision. And then, you know, we kept getting those like kickers at the end, and there was no kickers for either of these, which is fine. It's just the show set me up for expecting, you know, the only thing I would say that fan theories, but this was my own, I'm an F word who loves Buffy. So of course I wanted Emma Caulfield. I was like, she's got to be Clea. That's Doctor Strange's girlfriend. That's who she's got to be. We didn't get, it kind of, it felt like everything that happened was kind of like what the show already told us in the finale, but we got even less of Darcy and Wu and Monica than what I would have expected from what the show had told us.
Are we not allowed to say the F word on YouTube?
Oh, I don't know. I just say it.
Oh.
I don't know. Actually, wait, Zach, you would know the answer to that. Are we? Would I worry about that?
You can say it, but it'll change your monetization.
No,
but,
it will. It
well,
will not.
well,
It will
it
not.
can.
No,
It
will
can.
not.
But I will say, because I just want to say, because I haven't heard it said, that outfit was amazing. And I think that the show was worth that outfit.
Oh, okay. Well, then I have a question. Okay, so we're holding everybody up. This couple is holding everybody up. What is everybody's favorite outfit of the series, though?
Ooh,
Agatha's big flowy purple smoke outfit.
Okay.
Followed by Wanda's fully realized magic crown.
Wait, Discord. I'm happy to hear you say that, because I feel like someone who does drag, I'm like, I would. So many people on Twitter hated Agatha. They felt it was like too like made for TV movie, Disney Channel.
Oh, I thought she looked awesome.
I thought so too. I liked it.
She was like super Bellatrix.
No,
she was like Descendants 4. Like
rude
in a good way. No, good. No.
I loved Agatha's like sitcom looks, like especially like the 80s like Full House era. What I will say is I feel like Wanda got the Allison makeover from ANTM, where she like started with like flat dark hair and then they gave her like crazy extensions. It was a lot for me. I'm just gonna say that. It was the shoulderless with the crimped hair. It was a lot.
I loved it. I'd wear that wig tomorrow.
It was you could wear it. I feel like it was wearing her. And I'm working on that.
I will say, I felt like I was like, this looks like one of my Hispanic cousins in the 90s, the way they did her hair.
But it was cool. The reveal, the silhouette was incredible. The wig, we need to retcon that. That's the next.
So I will say, as much as I loved Agatha's, I agree with you, Discord, about Agatha's outfit. Wanda's felt, I don't know, I'm going to make a dumb comics reference, but did any of you read the Ultimates, like Ultimate X-Men or Ultimate Avengers?
Yes.
Those costumes had a very specific look. And the MCU tends to lean into those looks where it's like a lot of like padding and, you know, there's like texture. And her look, if this was like a prophesized witch that's in like this ancient book, I felt like her outfit should have been more like Agatha's, less like a like organic superhero.
I liked the fact that her crown was like magic and not like concrete. I thought that was cool. And like all like the makeup and special effects that they did on her that made her look more evil, I thought was cool. It's hard to take an outfit that's just like a red leotard typically and then make that exponentially more interesting.
Yeah,
I liked I liked Wanda's athleisure outfit, like the very like outdoor voices, $100 sweatpants, James purse.
She was in that
outfit really comfy. I like that. I felt seen. That was my representation.
I feel like I really liked I feel like I liked Wanda's 80s suspenders. I liked like that. That was where we started making like a choice.
Wanda's like Brady Bunch outfit was also really good.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, I mean, it's probably my age showing, but all of the 80s outfits like completely worked for me.
Oh,
thought
I loved it.
look
Yeah.
like, because Wanda had two, didn't she have? She had two different outfits that episode, I think. And I
She
remember
did,
like
because she had the one in like she had like the really teased hair that like everyone is using for reacts. And then her like kind of like check shirt suspenders thing. And maybe I think maybe like I enjoyed so much of the show, but I think like creatively, I feel like it really super peaked at episode 5. So I feel like that was when I felt like that was when I was like, fucking anything is possible. Because even the Agatha thing, we were kind of just waiting for her to spit that out. But like the episode 5 was so filled with like her rolling the credits over him so he couldn't talk, and like all these like wild choices were happening in that episode, and it was so creative and interesting and unexpected and ominous, because like I feel like that, like whenever the show was leaning towards Wanda is in control, there is an air of menace to it, the show was working more. Whenever they went away from it and kind of softened it and she doesn't even know what's happening, like that's when it became more like still good, still an exploration of grief that's good, but it became substantially less new and interesting to me.
What was your favorite outfit?
Yeah.
But what was your favorite outfit, Adam?
I said it, the 80s outfit.
Oh, okay. Who didn't say? Gabe, you didn't say your favorite outfit, I think.
Oh, I did. It was Catherine Hahn in the 80s, and then I dragged
Oh, right, yeah.
Wanda's teased hair for a little bit.
So I think Catherine
Ian,
Hahn.
we all said our favorite outfits. Just tell me to wrap it up and end your show. Yeah.
I think mine might be Catherine Hahn's 80s outfit as well, because like if there was an outfit I wouldn't have mind her staying in for a few episodes, it was that outfit.
Although I'm dressing as Billy for Halloween. I've been waiting for it anyway, so it's
yes.
Like assuming we have a Halloween.
I'll do it at home.
This could be our Halloween, Alex. We'll be on fucking Zoom dressed as heroes.
It's Halloween for me right now.
Yeah, I was going to say Discord's doing it already. We're good.
Yeah, thank you all for doing this. Thank you all for watching. Sorry we ran a little late. I started a little late. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see you all next time. Bye.